How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Mem Gimel, Daf 43 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, friends. Today's Daf is Geschmack. It's the sugya of, can you have a shliach l'dvar avera? Can you have a shliach l'dvar avera? What do you guys say? Can you have a shliach l'dvar avera? So that's an interesting sugya. And then we get into shaliach naise aid, which gets a little bit complicated. And then that's it. So we're going to start on Daf Membeis. We have about half of Membeis to do. So here goes nothing. So we're going to start about halfway through Membeis because we have half of it to do. So that's what we're going to do. So it says v'hadetnan hasholeach hasabeira. You guys got it? Good. V'hadetnan hasholeach hasabeira. That if somebody sends a flame with a cheresh, a shoyte, or a kain, somebody who doesn't have das, and then I mean it's pretty irresponsible, right, on the part of the sender. But he sends a flame with a cheresh, shoyte, v'kain, and then that cheresh, shoyte, v'kain causes damage with the flame and he lights a field on fire. Potter midine adam v'chay b'dine shemaim. So the sender is potter midine adam. You can't take him to Bezdin. That won't succeed. But in Shemayim, they're going to be like, yo, that was stupid. Why would you do that? Shilach biyad pikeach chayv. Now, if the person who we sent the flame with was a pikeach, was not a cheresh v'kain, he was a person that has das, and then that person burnt down somebody's field, so then that person is going, the burner downer is going to be chayiv, but the sender is going to be potter. So be'etzim we're saying that the person, we're not saying shlucho shel adam kimoso be'etzim over here. We're saying, well, the sender isn't the one who did the damage, it was the damager. The burner downer did the damage, and if the burner downer is a pikeach, so it'll be chayiv. If the burner downer is a cheresh v'kain, so cheresh v'kain doesn't have das, so the cheresh v'kain is going to be potter. The sender is going to be potter. Be chayiv b'din shamayim. Shamayim, we're going to say, hey, what'd you do? But on this world, Bezdin can't do anything. But why not? Name shlucha shel adam kimoso. Aha. We've been saying for the past 2 days, we've been talking about this concept of shlucha shel adam kimoso, that the messenger of a fellow is like the fellow himself. So why don't we say that when this fellow sends this flame, the fellow is on the hook, the sender. Shiny awesome, the ein shliach lidvar aveire. Because there's a concept that you cannot make a messenger, you cannot appoint a messenger to do a sin. De amrinon divrei arab v'divrei talmid divrei mishomim. Because we say to in this case, the burner downer, what happens? We go to the burner downer and we say, burner downer, you're in trouble. And he says, what? Why me? What did I do? The sender told me to do it. And we'll say, well, the Eibishter says, don't do it. Your friend over here says, do it. Genius. Who do you listen to? Obviously, you listen to the Eibishter, not to your friend. So therefore, in Shliach L'Dvar Avera, the sender is not going to be in trouble because it's the burner downer who did it, and he's the one who's responsible. He's the one who burnt down the field. And if he says, what did I do? What did I do? My friend told me to do it. We said to him, the Eibishter told you not to do it. Your friend told you to do it. Genius, who do you listen to? So I'm still, I'll tell you, Epis. This is the second daf I'm recording today, and it's a fast day. So in case I'm a little rough around the edges, it could be that all my filters aren't filtering properly in my brain. Yeah, because Ba'etzim, the way it worked is on Rosh Hashanah, it's 2 days, I don't record Babylon Talmud on Rosh Hashanah. So whatever, Be'etzem, I've recorded 2, Rosh Hashanah was Shabbos Sunday, so I recorded 2 daf on Friday, like I always do. But now I learned 3 daf over Rosh Hashanah, so instead of learning a new daf today, I'm recording 2 daf on Tzom Gedalia. Remember what my great-grandfather said about Tzom Gedalia? Gedalia didn't fast for me. Alright. I'm named after my great-grandfather. Alright. So now, alright, the Ein Shaliach L'Dvar V'Yad Amina Divrei Rav Divrei Talmud Divrei Mishomim. So when it comes to, there's no shlucho shel adam kimoso when it comes to a sin. If the shaliach does a sin, he's on the hook for it. V'od Tanya, now which we learn in the Brayso, shaliach shelo also shlichuso shaliach mo'al, also shlichuso ba'al habayis mo'al. What's this talking about? It's talking about Shimon had set aside some money to for hektish, to donate to the Beis Hamikdash. Shimon had set aside some money as hektish to donate to the Beis Hamikdash, but he forgets. He wasn't thinking, whatever it was. He gives the money to Reuven and says, Reuven, buy me pizza for lunch. Reuven goes and he buys soup for lunch. So in that case, Reuven is chayiv to bring an osher me'ilos, right? Because he got benefit from, he used the hektish to buy soup. Hektish money. So he has to bring, right? So he got benefit from hektish. So he has to, it's me'ilos. So he has to bring a osher me'ilos. Now, but if he would have bought pizza like he was instructed, in that case, Shimon, the sender, is chayiv to bring an osher me'ilos. So it sounds like we're saying, shlucho shel adam kimoso, meaning as long as Reuven did what he was instructed to do, to buy pizza, well, as long as he did what he was instructed to do, so the sender is chayiv to bring an osher me'ilos. But shouldn't we say in shlichus l'dvar avera? So, Shaliach, I'm reading that again, Shaliach Shalo also shlichuso, that if Reuven didn't do what he was sent to do, he bought soup instead of pizza, Shaliach Ma'al, so then Reuven needs to bring the Osher Me'ilos. But also shlichuso, if he did what he was sent to do, Balabayis Ma'al. Shimon, the sender, is going to be on the hook for an Osher Me'ilos. Ki also shlichuso de Balabayis Mi'amal. So we're saying that when Reuven does what he was sent to do, it's the sender who is chayiv in Osher Me'ilos Amai. But how come the sender is chayiv Neima? Let's say, Ein shliach l'dvar avera. There's no shlichus when it comes to an avera. Shimon, the sender, isn't on the hook. We don't say shlucho shel adam kamo. So in any event, I would think Reuven should be the one on the hook, the shaliach, the one who's doing the avera, who's being over on Me'ilah, should be the one who has to bring an osher me'ilos. Shayni me'il. And for the Gemara, me'ilah is an exception to the rule. We say yesh lichus l'dvar avera by me'ilah. The yalfa chet mitruma, because we learn out a gzereshava chet from eating truma by accident. Ma truma mazve shaliach, and it says chet by truma, it says chet by me'ilah. And just like by truma, as we learned, there is shlichus when it comes to truma. So af me'ilah. So also when it comes to me'ilah, Majve Shaliach, there is shlichus when it comes to Me'ilah, and therefore, if Shimon sends Reuven to buy pizza with money of hektish, so then Shimon, the sender, is going to have to bring an osher me'ilos. Not Reuven, the Shaliach. V'neilaf mino. So fact the Gemara. Well, how about this? Why don't we say that just like by Me'ilah, there is shlichus l'dvar avera. So why don't we say, in general, yesh shlichus l'dvar avera? Mishum da'ave me'ilah v'shlichus yad, shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod, v'chol shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod, ein milam. Do I still need to explain shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod? No? You know what that is already? Okay. Because me'ilah and shlichus yad are shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod. And therefore, we cannot extend yesh shlichus l'dvar avera generally, since me'ilah and shlichus yad are shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod. Who can tell me what shlichus yad is? Shlichus yad is that if Shimon gives his lawnmower to Ruvain to watch for him, so Ruvain can't use it. He can only watch it. He can only guard it. He can't use it. If Ruvain now decides that he's going to mow his lawn with the lawnmower, so then if anything happens to that lawnmower, Ruvain will be on the hook, even if he's a shomer chinam. So, I mean, even if he's only guarding it as a favor, he's not allowed to use the lawnmower. He's only allowed to guard it, to watch it. And if he uses it, that's what's called shlichus yad. He's using it in an unauthorized way, and then he's going to be on the hook. He's going to be on the hook if anything happens to that lawnmower. So me'ila adamarin. So we say yesh shliach ledvar avera when it comes to me'ila. Shlichus yad ma'i. What's the example of shlichus yad? Titania, as we learn in the Brisa, al kol dvar pesh. Right? It says, it says im lo shalach yodo b'mleches re'eu. Right? It says in the pasuk when it talks about shlichus yad, and immediately after that it says al kol dvar pesha, on any negligence. So b'shamai omim l'chayev ala machshove k'maise. So Bishama says that when it says immediately after shlichus yad al kol dvar pesha, on any type of negligence, that is coming to include even if Ruvain thought to use Shimon's lawnmower, he will be considered sholeach yad. Beis Hillel omen, whereas Beis Hillel say eino chayev ad sheishlach bo yad. Beis Hillel says no. In order for Ruvain to be chayev, he would actually have to use the lawnmower, and only at that point he would be chayev if anything happens to it. Shenemar im lo shalach yado v'gomer. The pasuk says he has to be sholeach yado. He has to actually use it in an unauthorized manner. Amu Beis Shammai le Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says to Beis Hillel, v'alo nemar al kol dvar pesha. But what about the fact that it says on all dvar peshas? What's that? What's kol dvar pesha coming to include? Amu lo Beis Hillel v'Shammai v'alo nemar im lo shalach yado b'mleches re'eu. And Beis Hillel responds to Beis Shammai, says, yes, but the pasuk says shlichus yad, using it, not thinking about it. Beis Shammai Beis Hillel im ken al kol dvar pesha lo amali. So Beis Shammai says to Beis Hillel, so then what do you learn out from al kol dvar pesha? Sheyachol ein li elahu. I'll tell you what I learned out from al kol dvar pesha. I may have thought that only if Ruvain himself uses the lawnmower, it's a problem. He'll be chayiv for own sin. How do I know that even if Ruvain says to his Eved, or if he says to his friend Levi, hey, can you mow my lawn for me? How do I know that Ruvain will be chayiv for being sholeach yad, not the Eved or Levi? Al kol dvar pesha. Al kol dvar pesha comes to include even if he sends a shaliach. So we see that by shlichus yad, according to Beis Hillel, that by shlichus yad, there is shliach ledvar aver. So we see that shlichus yad and me'ila are two examples of shlichus ledvar avera, and therefore it's shnei ksuma ba'in ke'echad. We cannot apply that to other examples. In other examples, we'll say divrei arav v'divrei talmid divrei mishomin. Hanich leVeis Hillel. Okay, so that's all fine and good. LeVeis Shammai d'mukmei. But what about according to Beis Shammai? Beis Shammai learns out from al kol dvar pesha that even a machshava is enough to be considered sholeach yad. So then, according to Beis Shammai, shlichus yad is not an example of yesh shliach ledvar aver, because only Beis Hillel learns out from al kol dvar pesha, but not Beis Shammai. So why don't we learn out from me'ila that yesh shlichus ledvar aver? According to Beis Shammai, mishum, the answer is because ta'av me'ila tvicha u'mechira shnei ksuma boim ke'echod v'chol shnei ksuma boim ke'echod ein melamdin. Because me'ila and tovach u'mochar is shnei ksuvin haboin ke'echod, and therefore we can't learn from it. Who could tell me what tovach u'mochar is? What tvicha u'mechira is? Who could tell me? Tvicha u'mechira is that if a fellow steals a sheep, so then he needs to pay kefil. He has to pay twice the amount that he stole. However, if he sells that sheep to somebody else, or if he slaughters the sheep, then for a sheep he has to pay 4 times the amount of the sheep, not just twice, but 4 times. And if it's an ox, he has to pay 5 times the amount. That's what Tvicha Mechira is. Now, we're saying that by Tvicha Mechira, even if he doesn't slaughter the animal himself, but he has a shaliach do it, he, the ganif, is still going to be chayiv. So we see that there is shliach l'dvar avera when it comes to Tvicha Mechira. So Me'ila Adam Aron. So Me'ila is Shlichus L'Dvar Avera, Shliach L'Dvar Avera, as we learned with the pizza and the soup. Tvicha U'Mechira Ma'i. What is the case? Tell me more about Tvicha U'Mechira. What's Shliach L'Dvar Avera by Tvicha U'Mechira? So Omar Kra, the pasuk says Utvacho O Micharo, that if the ganif slaughters the animal or sells it, just like by definition selling requires a third party, the buyer. So we're saying also when it comes to slaughtering the animal, even if it's ayidei shaliach, still the ganif is going to be on the line to pay 4 or 5 times the amount, depending if it's a sheep or an ox. When it says utvacho o micharo, the o is coming to include a shaliach. The vechizkitana tachas. The shaliach says, right? What does it say? Chamisha baki shalom tachas ashor va'arbos ton tachas hases. So it says tachas twice to include, even if it's by way of a shaliach. So we see that there is shaliach l'dvar avera by tvicha u'mechira. So according to Beis Shammai, you have me'ila and you have tvicha u'mechira that are shnei ksuvin haboim ke'echod, and therefore only by those cases is there shliach l'dvar avera, but not generally. Okay, fine. So now, says the Gemara, well, this is all fine and good if you say shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echod ein melamdim. So we say we have a few examples of shliach l'dvar avera, but we can't learn from them. And in general, we'll say, divrei harav v'divrei talmud, divrei mishomim, and ein shliach l'dvar avera. The shaliach is on the hook, not the sender. But elalamanda amar melamdin, ma'ika l'meima. But if you say that shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echad melamdin, so why don't we say, well, just like by me'ilah, by shlichus yad according to Beis Hillel, by tvicha u'mechira, we say yesh shaliach l'dvar avera. So why don't we say in general yesh shaliach l'dvar avera if you say that you can learn out from shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echad. So and for the Gemara gali rachmana b'shchutei chutz dam yechoshev la'ish hahu dam shafachu v'lo shlucho. And for the Gemara that, well, by shchutei chutz, who can tell me what shchutei chutz is? Shchutei chutz is that if you bring a korban, you have to bring a korban, you have to slaughter it in the Beis Hamikdash or in the Mishkan. If you don't do that, if you slaughter it outside of the Beis Hamikdash or the Mishkan, that's what's called shchutei chutz, and you chayiv kares. So it says hahu hu v'lo shlucho, but not as shaliach, because ein shliach l'dvar avera. Ein shliach l'dvar avera. Okay, fine. So by shchutei chutz we say ein shliach l'dvar avera. He's only chayiv if he does it, not if his shaliach does it. But how do I know that in general we'll say ein shliach l'dvar avera? The yolef mi shchutei chutz, because we learn it out from shchutei chutz. Just like by shchutei chutz ein shliach l'dvar avera, so oichit b'chol Torah kula ein shliach l'dvar avera. The yolef mi shchutei chutz neilef mi anuch. But fet the Gemara, 1 second. If you say shnei ksuvim haboim ke'echad melamdin, well then I don't understand. We have 3 examples of yesh shaliach l'dvar avera. We have 1 example of ein shliach l'dvar avera. Why learn out from shchutei chutz that ein shliach l'dvar avera? Why don't we learn out from me'ilah and shlichus yad and tvicha u'mechira that yesh shliach l'dvar avera? So hadar kasav rachmana v'nichras ha'ish hahu. Well, the pasuk by shchutei chutz then continues and says v'nichras ha'ish hahu. So it says hahu twice by shchutei chutz. Im enu inyan legufo, and if it's not needed to teach us Ein shliach l'dvar avera by shchutei chutz. So then what are we doing with the second hahu? Tneu inyan l'chol haTorah kula. We'll say that the second hahu is saying, and also in general, b'chol haTorah kula, ein shliach l'dvar avera. He's only chayiv if he does it, not if his shaliach does it. Now, if you say shnei ksuvim ke'echad ein melamdin, so then I know ein shliach l'dvar avera, because we can't learn out from me'ilah, from shchutei, from tvicho mechira, from shlichus yad. We can't learn out from those examples, and therefore we have to just rely on the logic of divrei Rav, divrei Talmud, divrei Mishomin. So we know ein shliach l'dvar avera already. So hane hahu my darish behu. What do they do? There's a lot of oohs. Hahu darish behu. What do they do with the hahus? What do they do with these hahus? Why are they necessary? Why are they necessary bichlal? I already know ein shliach l'dvar avera. Divrei Harab, divrei Talmud, divrei Mishomin. So chadamutei shnayim she'ochzim bechsakin v'shochtim. Well, one hahu is to say it has to be one individual. But if you have two, if you have two people holding the knife and slaughtering the animal outside of the Beis Hamikdash, so then they are poter v'charu. And the second one is hu v'lo anus. He has to do it, but not if he's forced to do it. Hu v'lo shogeg, not if he does it by accident. Hu v'lo muta, not if he's tricked into doing it. Ve'idach. Now, if you say milamdin, and we say ein shliach l'dvar avera because we learn it out from the extra hahu, so then how does that opinion know to exclude, like if you're forced or two people, may hu hahu? It could have said hu, but it says hahu. Okay. Ve'idach, and according to the opinion, it says ein melamdin, and therefore we learn out from those things, the two people, and that you can't be forced, but you don't need it to teach ein shliach l'dvar avera. So what's with hu and hahu? Hu hahu lo darish. Okay, he doesn't learn that drush. Okay. V'haditani, and now which we learned how omer l'shlucha, that if Shimon says to Ruvain, say harogas hanefesh, Ruvain, go kill Levi. Hu chayav v'sholchav poter. So Ruvain, the shaliach, is chayav, not Shimon the sender. Ein shliach l'dvar avera. Shamei Azakin, Omer says Shamei Azakin mishum Chagai Hanavi. Sholchov chayav, that Shimon the sender is going to be chayav. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Oso aragta b'cherev bnei Ammon, that David is blamed for killing Uriah Achiti by way of the cherev bnei Ammon. So the sender, David HaMelech, is being blamed. My time with the Shamei Azakin, what's the svara for Shamei Azakin? Why is the sender chayiv? Because it says shnei ksuvim b'hem kecha melamdim. And we can learn out from me'ilah, from shlichus yad, from tvicho mechira, that yesh shliach l'dvar avera, and therefore if Shimon sends Ruvain to kill Levi, Shimon, the sender, is going to be chayiv, shluchus adam kamosa. V'hu ahu lo darish. And he doesn't learn out hu, hahu. No, he doesn't learn from the extra hay, and instead he only learns out one thing from the two hahus. What he learns out is that to the exclusion of two people doing it, to the exclusion if you're forced, but he doesn't learn ein shliach l'dvar avera, rather yesh shliach l'dvar avera, and that is why Shimon the sender would be chayiv. V'bai sema. Alternatively, la'olam darish, really he does learn ein shliach l'dvar avera. So if that's the case, umay chayiv, so then what does it mean that Shimon the sender is going to be chayiv when Reuven kills Levi? Chayiv b'dinei shamayim. And he's poter b'dinei odom, but he's chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Michlad Tanakama so b'afilu b'dinei shamayim, midinei shamayim nami poter. So does that mean that the Tanakama holds that if Shimon tells Reuven, to go kill Levi, Shimon is not, he's potter even Medina Shamayim. Shimon tells Ruvain to kill Levi. Shimon's off the hook. Even in Shamayim, they're not going to mention it. No, it means that that according to Shammai Azaken, in Shamayim he's going to get in big trouble, and according to Tanakama, he's only going to get in little trouble. Ike benayu, fine. Alternatively, Shaini Hasam, it's specifically different, right? Murder is a specific exception to the rule. The Gali Rachmana also arakta b'chev b'nei Ammon, because the pasuk blames David HaMelech for sending Uriah Hittite to his death. V'idach, now according to Tanakama, harilcha kechev b'nei Ammon machev b'nei Ammon ein atonena shalav av Uriah Hittite ato. Whereas the Tanakama darshans the pasuk that David HaMelech has been compared to the sword of the Bnei Ammon, that just like he's not going to be punished for the sword of the Bnei Ammon, he's also not going to be punished because of what he did with Uriah Hittite. My timer, how come Morid b'malchus hava? Because Uriah Hittite was rebelling against the king, against David HaMelech. The Kamar that Uriah Hittite says to David HaMelech, how can I come home to my wife, Ba'adoni Yoav, my master Yoav? He says the master Yoav in front of David HaMelech. V'chol abdei Adoni, all the servants of my master, Apnei Asadechonim, are encamping on the field. So he called Yoav, Adoni Yoav, in front of David HaMelech. Therefore he was Moed Malchus, and therefore he was Chayiv Misa, and David was Potter. On my Rav, says Rav Imtim Tilomar Sover Shammai Shnei Ksuvim Abam Ke'echad Milamdin, that if you say that Shnei Ksuvim Abam Ke'echad Milamdin, Vihu Au Lo Darish, and Be'etzim, Shammai says that Yesh Shliach Lidvar Avera, and the sender is Chayiv. But Modeh, Shammai would agree that Ba'omer L'Shlucho Tzei Be'oles HaErva, that if a fellow makes a Shaliach to be boil in Erva, Ve'choles HaChelev, or to eat Chelev, Shehu Chayev, the committer would certainly be Chayev there. Visholchav Potter, and the sender would be Potter. Shlomatzinu b'chol Torah kula zenenev zemis Chayev. We don't find anywhere in the Torah that one person gets benefit from something, but somebody else is Chayev. Right? If Shimon is sending Ruvain as his shaliach to do an avera that Ruvain is going to benefit from, Keranoah from, Shimon is not going to be Chayev. Ruvain is going to be chayiv. Itmar, okay, fine. So that was the sugya of shliach dvar avera. Very, very interesting sugya. What fellows and fellas? What do you think? Interesting sugya, right? Now we get into I don't know if I would say a less interesting sugya, but more technical sugya of shaliach naisa eid. Can a messenger be a witness? Right? If somebody sends a messenger to divorce his wife, can that messenger also serve as a witness to witness the get being given to the wife? Can he be a witness who can testify that the get was in fact given to the wife, or by Kiddushin? Can a person, right? Can a messenger who was sent to be Mekadesh a woman also be an aid that she received the Kiddushin? So Itma Rav Omar says, Rav Shaliach Naisa Aid, a Shaliach can become an aid. The Reb Shila Amre, they say by the Besmedrash of Reb Shila, Ein Shaliach Naisa Aid, Nisht, a Shaliach cannot become an aid. My timer, the very Reb Shila, how come Reb Shila says, Ein Shaliach Naisa Aid? Ilema Mishum Tiloi Omale Havili Aid. If you're going to say, well, because the sender didn't say, I want you to be my witness. So the me'ato, kidesh isha b'fnei shnayim. If a fellow is mekadesh a fellow, and there are two people there watching, but he didn't say, atem edai. He didn't say, you are my witnesses. Well, it's not kiddushin. They saw him give the ring, they saw him give the money to her. They witnessed the kiddushin. But he didn't say, atem edai. What, the fact that they witnessed it is irrelevant? Of course it's irrelevant. So Rav Omar Shaliach Naise Aid. Rav says that a Shaliach can become an aid because Alume Kama Alim Elamilse Matoiv Manoim. It's Givaldik. What better testimony is there to say that not only am I testifying that the Kiddushin was given, I'm the one who gave the Kiddushin. What better testimony can you have than that? So of course Shaliach Naisei, it's a no-brainer. The Reb Shila Amrei, they say by the Besmedr Reb Shila, Ein Shaliach Naisei, that a messenger cannot become an aid, because Kevin Amar Shlucho Shel Adam Kimoso, since we say that the messenger of a fellow is like the fellow himself, Havale Kigufe, then it's like the messenger, it's like the sender himself, and the sender is basically, you can't testify about him, you can't testify about yourself, right? A fellow who gives Kesef Kiddushin, right? If a fellow is getting engaged to a fellow and he gives her Kesef Kiddushin, he can't be his own witness. So therefore a Shaliach cannot be a witness according to Reb Shila. Fine. Where am I? Meisve. We have a kasha. Omar l'shlosha. If a fellow says to 3 people, Tzu v'kidshu v'kadshu liya isha. Go and be mekadesh to me, a fellow. Echad shaliach v'shnayim edim. So one of the 3 serves as the messenger, and 2 of them serves as the witnesses to witness the Kiddushin. Divi Beshama, that's Beshama's opinion. Besil Omrim says Besil Kulam Shluchin Hein. They are all messengers. Vein Shaliach Naisa Eid, and a Shaliach cannot become a witness. Kan, where am I? Ad kan lo plige ela b'shlosha. Now this machlokus is when he sends 3 people. Haval b'shnayim. If he sent 2 people, Divrei Akol lo. Everyone agrees. Ein Shaliach Naisa Eid, and it's a kasha on Rav. Lo, hu de Amar ki Tana. No, Rav says like the following: Tana, the Tana is within the advice. Reb Nosson Omer says Reb Nosson. Beishami Omer says Beishami Shaliach ve'ed echad. You can have the Shaliach together with an aid. So we see Shaliach Naise aid. Ve'sil Omer Shaliach v'shnei edim. Ve'sil says you need 1 Shaliach and 2 witnesses. Ein Shaliach Naise aid. V'Rav ke Beis Shammai. I understand Rav is saying like Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai is saying Shaliach ve'ed. That Shaliach Naise aid. Beis says no. How could Rav be saying like Beis Shammai? You have to say like Beis Hillel. Ipuch. So let's switch around the opinions of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. It's Beis Hillel who says Shaliach ve'ed, and Rav is saying like Beis Hillel. Okay. Rav Acha ber Derove masni. Ipuch Rav Acha ber Derove teaches the opposite in the sugya. Rav Amar ein Shaliach Naise eid. Rav is the one who says ein Shaliach Naise eid. Devei Reb Shila Amar Shaliach Naise eid. V'yochsa Shaliach Naise eid. The halacha is that a Shaliach can become a witness. Interesting stuff. Amar Rava says Rava, Amar Rav Nachman, the name of Nachman, Amar l'shnayim. Fellow says to 2 people, Tzu v'kadshu liya sa'isha, go and be mekadesh liya fellow. Hein shlucha ve'ein enedo. So these 2 people are his messengers, his emissaries, his agents to be mekadesh this fellow, and they are also the witnesses. They are also the 2 witnesses that witnessed that Kiddushin was given to this fellow. V'chein b'gerushin, v'chein b'dinim ominous. And the same applies to divorce. Okay, if he sends 2 people to divorce his wife, they can also be the witnesses that she received it. And oichet, if Reuven borrowed $1,000 from Shimon, and now he sends 2 messengers to deliver the money to Shimon, to repay him back, they can also be the witnesses that Shimon received the money. V'tzricha, we needed all 3 cases. We need Kiddushin, Gerushin, and Mominus. If we say that these 2 witnesses can also serve that these 2 messengers, emissaries, agents, can also serve as witnesses by Kiddushin, Mishum Dilameisra Ka'asi, because they have nothing to gain by testifying falsely. When they testify that this fella is now betrothed, they're making her usher to the whole world, including themselves. What do they have to gain by testifying falsely that she received Kesef Kiddushin? They have nothing to gain. So therefore, if they come and say that she received Kesef Kiddushin, we can believe them. But this is a funny one. But by Gerushin, by divorce, we have to be concerned that maybe they lost the get, but still, maybe one of them is attracted to her, so he wants to say anyways that she's divorced, that way she'll be permitted, she's not married anymore, and he can now marry her. I say it's funny because it seems like weird. Gerushin, and if we say that by Gerushin, we can trust these 2 messengers as witnesses, okay, because a woman can't be be married to two fellows, right? So therefore, meaning, if you have these two witnesses who are saying that she is divorced, we don't really have to be concerned that like one of them or that they got attracted to her or whatever. She can't be married to both of them anyways. So if like both of them are coming and saying she's divorced, it's not like they're going to lie because they can't both marry her anyways. Okay, so we can trust them. Fine. But by money, maybe they're saying that they delivered the money, but in fact, right, they're testifying that they delivered the money, but in fact, they actually just divided among themselves. So we say that no, in all of these cases, these two messengers can become witnesses, and that is fine. Micah Sovers, now this gets a little technical. What does Rav Nachman hold over here? So if you say that if Shimon lends money to Ruvain and there were witnesses when he lent the money to Ruvain, and therefore tzarich lefaro be'edim, and therefore Ruvain needs to pay it back with witnesses, well then hane nogin be'edus ninu. Well then we can't really trust these witnesses to say that Shimon was paid back because they're nogei be'edus. Meaning, let's say they lose the money. What are they going to do? They're going to go back to Ruvain and say, we lost your money. They're going to be on the line. So of course they're going to say that they paid the money to Shimon. Ruvain gave all this money, right? Ruvain borrowed $1,000 from Shimon. He gives $1,000 to these two messengers to deliver it. Obviously they're going to say that they delivered it. There needs, right? We're saying if Shimon lent the money with witnesses, so Ruvain needs to return it and there have to be witnesses. And without the witnesses, there's no proof. We can't trust that the money was returned. So they have no, if anything happens to that money, they can't go back to Ruvain and say, we lost it. The only choice, essentially, unless they want to, if they want to avoid having to pay back the money, is just to say that they delivered it, and therefore we can't trust them. The Amrilo Paraine, if they say to Ruvain, look, we didn't pay Shimon, Amrilo Parauni, he's going to say, pay me back then. So La'olam Ksavar Hamavas Chaver Be'edim Ein Tzarich L'for Be'edim. Okay, so really, actually, Rav Nachman holds that even if Shimon pays money, right, lends money to Ruvain and there are witnesses, Ruvain does not need, right, when the money is paid back to Shimon, that does not need to be with witnesses. So if that's the case, then why do we need witnesses at all? Why are we talking about these two messengers being witnesses? Well, because since over here, Ruvain is not there to pay it back, so therefore, if Ruvain himself was paying it back, so then he could just pay it back, and we're saying we don't need witnesses. But because he isn't there, how does he know that it was paid back? So we need these people to testify that the money was paid. But but since the testimony, technically speaking, is not necessary in order for the money to be considered paid back, so they could have their choice, right? They could say ajinu lelove. They could say we returned the money to Ruvain. And that's, who's to say they didn't? Right? He's saying, even if when Ruvain gave the money to these messengers to deliver to Shimon, he gave the money to these messengers with witnesses. And there are witnesses who witnessed Ruvain give the money to these messengers. Still, they could just say, well, we gave you back the money, because even if the money was given with witnesses, it doesn't need to be given back with witnesses. They can also say we gave the money to Shimon. They can say whatever they want. No witnesses are necessary when they're giving back the money, whether giving it back to Ruvain, whether giving it to Shimon. They could just say whatever they want, because no witnesses were necessary when they supposedly gave that money to whoever they gave it to. So migo diachli memra ajinu lelova, just like they could say, well, we gave it back to Ruvain, and there's nobody who can argue with them. They can also say that they gave the money to Shimon. And that is why we can believe them, because, when they say, they could have just as easily said that they gave it back to Ruvain, but they didn't. They said they paid it to Shimon, so therefore we believe that they paid it to Shimon. However, Shvuas Hesis. However, now there's a concept of Shvuas Hesis. Who could tell me what Shvuas Hesis is? So of course, as we've learned before, Mida Oraise, if Shimon goes to court and says, I lent Reuven $1,000, and Reuven says, no, you didn't. Mida Oraise, Reuven doesn't have to swear. If he says, no, you only paid me 500, then he would have to swear. But if he's Kofar Akol, if he says, you didn't lend me anything, so Reuven doesn't have to swear. But Mida Rabbanon, we're concerned that maybe Reuven is that brazen. Maybe Reuven is actually lying. Maybe he did borrow the $1,000 and he's completely lying. And therefore we say, you know what, Reuven, we still want you to swear that you didn't borrow any money from Shimon. Well, now that there's the concept of Shvuas Hesis, so when Reuven gives the money to the messengers to deliver, to bring to Shimon, so he's basically giving them the money. If they were to claim that we gave it back to if they were to claim that we gave it back to Reuven, we gave it back to the sender, then what's that? Reuven gave them money, they're saying they gave it back. That's basically, it's like a loan, right? Somebody gives you money, you say, I gave it back to you already. And if they say they gave it all back, then it's like a Shvuas Hesis. They would have to swear that they gave it all back. And therefore, in order to avoid having to swear that they gave it back to Reuven, of course they're going to say that they gave it to Shimon. Because Shimon didn't give them anything. They wouldn't be on the line to swear to Shimon about anything. So why don't they just say, yeah, of course we gave it to Shimon. And they'll be off the hook. So because of Shvuas Hesis, that if they say, well, we gave it back to Reuven, they would have to swear. So their only option is to say that we gave it to Shimon, therefore we can't believe them anymore. So so what they would have to do if they want to avoid paying is they would have to swear that they gave the money to Shimon. And Shimon would have to swear to lo shakile that he didn't receive anything. Ufarale lovet lemalva, and then Reuven would be on the hook and he would have to pay Shimon the amount and probably not trust those messengers anymore. Friends, that was Daf Mem Gimel Masechta Kiddushin. Wow, got kind of technical there at the end. We discussed for a big chunk of the daf of Shliach L'Dvar Avera, very interesting concept. It sounds like we basically hold Ein Shliach L'Dvar Avera, and we say Divrei Arav, Divrei Tamid, Divrei Mishom, because if somebody sends you to do an Avera, we say, well, what were you thinking? I don't care that your friend told you to do the Avera. The Eibush just says not to. Then we got to the concept of Shaliach Naisa Eid. Sounds like we paskin, so Machlokes Rav and Reb Shila, that do we say that a messenger can become a witness or not? Excuse me. And then then we had it got a little complicated at the end. If witnesses can become, if shliachs can become witnesses. That was Daf Mem Gimel, I think we said, of Masechta Kiddushin. Hope you enjoy. Peace out.